Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, from wherever in the world you're joining us from today. We are continuing our deep dive into Poland's increasingly buzzing startup scene. My name is Tessa McIver, and I am your host, introducing you to startup founders and a plethora of top ecosystem players. We're uncovering the nuances of tech innovation in Poland and how those nuances play in with the global scene. So, welcome to Startup with Poland. Today, I am speaking to Maciej Kraus, who will give us an insight into Poland's venture capital landscape and give us some comparisons with what is going on in the big old US of A. Maciej is a partner at Movens Capital, a VC fund that invests in seed and Series A rounds and focuses on companies that will revolutionise traditionally large industries, mainly through the use of machine learning and artificial intelligence in process automation. Maciej is also a guest lecturer at Stanford and an expert on the topic of pricing. Maciej, welcome. Fantastic to have you with us.
Great to see you, and thanks for the invite.
So, Maciej, the venture capital landscape has matured considerably in Poland in the recent years. At least that's my take on how things are. But please, can you give us an insight into your journey and your concept of how that landscape is looking?
Yeah, so I've seen an enormous growth. When we first launched our first institutional fund back 5 years ago, it's been a different, landscape. Just looking simply at the numbers. 2018, there were roughly, 10 single-digit, unicorns in Central Eastern Europe. Yeah. Now it's more than 50. So looking, at the how much money was invested into the ecosystem, Poland or CE, maybe a bit broadly, has been growing extensively. I would say, again, looking at the numbers, at twice the pace of any other region in the world. So it's been buzzing for sure.
Okay, and why do you think that is? Why has more and more financing come into the region?
Yeah, I think it's for a lot of reasons. Obviously, the glass been half empty or more than half empty for a long time. So we have a lot to catch up to US and other countries. Second is because I think it's an interesting place to invest for a couple of reasons. First is we have an abundant tech talent. I'm a number guy. So in Central Eastern Europe, it's estimated that there is 1 million tech tech developers. Wow. Just to give you a comparison, in California, it's 600,000. So it's that the talent is abundant, and also the quality-wise, those people know what they're doing. It's been a common thing that people from Central Eastern Europe, they win all those hackathons or contests for the best developers in the world. So the quality is there. Also, I think it's because being an entrepreneur is perceived at least in Poland as a good career path. As opposed to any other, if we compare it to other countries, parents want their children to be entrepreneurs. So I think that's another reason. So just to mention a few, looking, at how economy grows, so.
And what is from your insights, what do you see is the difference between how venture capital funds operate in the US to Poland?
Yeah, of course, it's a totally different, ball game, it's a different world. So not speaking about, the size, but also about, the access to capital. So we are, I think, as a VC fund, we are in a more comfortable position than a lot of our colleagues are in the Silicon Valley. So we have more kind of to choose from. So the market is growing. Also, in terms of valuations, there are not as, say, crazy as in the US. So you can simply make a better deals here in Central Eastern Europe as opposed to California or anywhere else.
Uh-huh. And I mean, I can really see from my perspective, I'm more and more often contacted by American VCs who actually say, okay, I've heard there's this place, Poland or, CE region, and actually you can do some great deals. What's going on there, which, is a very interesting new trend, I'd say.
Yeah, that's very true. We see a lot of interest from abroad. Also looking at our LPs in our, let's say, consecutive funds. We've got more and more money coming from abroad as opposed to just people from Poland or that had any angle to Poland that would invest in the startup or tech here in this region.
Yeah, so it seems like, more and more people are uncovering this hidden gem. But, apart from the points that you've already mentioned, are there any particular sort of secret sources to, why, I mean, let's say specifically Poland, but we can talk wider of the region, why, the region is producing so much tech talent and entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So I think on top of what I just mentioned, the growing economy, clever people and stuff, I would say that let's say CE has a right, I would say, secret sauce for companies to grow internationally. Because like when you want to be successful in Latvia, Estonia, anywhere, Poland or Czech Republic, or Czechia, sorry, then you have to go internationally. There is no other way to go. So those companies, if they fly, they fly on a really high altitude. So I would say that's the reason.
So they're kind of starting off already with the mentality of we've got to go global from day one.
Exactly. You cannot just have a comfortable business in one country because simply the market is not as big enough for you to grow.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, this all makes absolute sense. I mean, of course, there are so many different elements that a startup has to get right if they're, going to go big, go global. Yeah. You're specifically a master of the topic of pricing. Tell me why you believe that pricing is so fundamentally important for startups to get right if they're going to succeed.
Yeah, I think for a couple of reasons. I believe that pricing or the money you get from your customers is the best justification for your product market fit. So what you do makes sense. I would rather get this justification in the form that someone pays me for my product or service or whatever than that he would just applaud me or say, good job, guy. So that's one thing. The second one is especially these days when it's, let's be frank, more difficult to raise capital and to get investors on board. It's the cheapest source of capital. And also the other thing is that the money you get from your customers is, I would say, the source of capital that they can use consecutively, and like every month someone pays you money, you can reinvest it, build your product and stuff. Whereas if you take money from me or any other external investor, when you give me equity, your equity is gone.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the other thing. And of course, the next one is that your startup is being let's say evaluated based on any multiple, your revenue multiple or your profit multiple. Then obviously the more money you generate, the higher the valuation of your startup is. So if you raise the next round at, let's say 10x revenue valuation, then for every dollar you get from your customers, the valuation of your company grows 10x. So like I would say the math is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but I'm sure that it's something that a lot of startups get wrong, right? That they either price themselves too low or too high. It's actually quite a very difficult skill to
true.
get right.
I would say, I usually say that pricing is a craft, so it's not that you just read a book or something and then, you have it ticked out for the next 2 or 3 years. It's something that you should just think about constantly. And what's really surprising is that startups, they spend time on a lot of things, but usually they don't really pay much attention to pricing. And this is really detrimental for their future growth. So I usually encourage startups to pay more attention to monetization and pricing, because this is really where they can,
I guess it's the ultimate make it or break it.
Absolutely.
Whether somebody wants to pay for your product.
Especially these days, that really the money from your customers is the only source of capital to extend your run rate and stuff.
Yeah, no, that all makes absolute sense. Maciej, you're very much part of the startup ecosystem in Poland, but you could say globally as well. But why is it important to actually nurture a startup ecosystem at all? Why do we need startups?
My perception is that startups or startup ecosystem is like a marketplace. You need to have a supply, demand, and then some other layers of, let's say, rounds or investors to grow and nurture those companies. So obviously, for the company to grow, you need to have, the right, I would say, surrounding. So that would be, either legal advisors, M&A advisors, funds, some other, services, products, and experts, mentors.
Yeah.
So without that, it's very difficult to grow. And I believe that we are really starting to get this, I would say, launch speed, or we got this launch speed to grow and to accelerate here in Poland. So I'm very happy to be in the place I am, and it's really so exciting.
Yeah, no. I mean, certainly, I also feel that.
That's why I'm not. I have zero interest in moving to Silicon Valley. I think Poland is the place to be if you want to grow your tech venture.
Yeah, no. I mean, I personally very much agree that that in so many spheres, but certainly in the startup ecosystem, there's such a surge of energy and drive, and that indeed we're getting all the building blocks, firmly in place. I mean, Maciej, when you wake up every morning, what makes you get out of bed? What do you love about your job? Of course, the whole picture, but like some particular elements.
Well, I would say there are three elements. First, I'm having fun with what I do. This is, I think, the most important thing. The second is I believe that in a way I'm changing the world, or the world that surrounds me, and make it a little bit better, and help those companies really to grow, to be successful, to see as they grow. It's really, it's very satisfying. And the third is, obviously, I would say this is how I make money, and the money is really good. So those three are
together.
Together they I think this is what gets me up in the morning. And on top of that is my 5-year-old son, but so I can spend time with him.
Oh well, that's lovely. But good to know that you've got these three elements that indeed make you feel like, okay, let's get up and go, as opposed to let's go back to sleep. So that's
I'm super excited, and really this is the moment. This is the time to be, and this is the place to be today.
Yeah, I agree. And, this is partly why we are also doing this series, because we really feel that it's the best moment to be getting a real insight into, what's going on, because there is a lot going on, a lot of fire, a lot of energy, and it's going to go from strength to strength. So, Maciej, thank you so much. It's been an honor to have you here.
My pleasure.
And thank you for sharing your insights.
Thanks.
Thank you, and goodbye for today.